The way in which new media has gradually integrated itself into today's contemporary world appears almost causal, despite the impact it makes being anything but. Influencing individual lives as well as larger society as whole tremendously. However, it is not always apparent. Just to what degree this is true, one such person who is aware of this fact and uses their work in order to further explore this is the artist Gordan Savivic.
Reflective Chaos in the City. The work we chose is Constraint City by Gordan Savivic. Gordan Savivic is a creative technologist, artist, and designer whose work investigates the relationship between networks and interfaces. He also has a background in media art and visual communication, and he has been active within the fields of academic research, teaching, and design industry. His main research areas include game cultures, digital and urban interventions, architecture, pervasive computing, and open source technologies. His masterpieces include Constraint City, Discohedron, and many others. Gordan Savivic is an artist who is courageous in discovering, exploring, and making critical art about his surroundings. He has published a book called Unpleasant Design. The book covers cities around the world. In the introduction of his book, he writes, "His book is a collection of different studies of the phenomena we experience. Presented as a silent agent, it focuses on behavior in public spaces where no explicit sector exists. The book documents and takes a critical look at the design in the face of a policy exclusion, but also looks at the artist's response to the city's obnoxious design." Gordan Savivic is an artist who is constantly aware of the small details of the city and reveals them critically and progressively in the form of an artistic process. In this book, several interesting examples show what disguised design means in people's everyday lives. For example, the uncomfortable seat that sits in for 10 minutes, a design meant to keep homeless people from sleeping on it, and the Blue Light Design Award for remote toilets and tunnels, meant to keep drug addicts from finding their veins. Perhaps it was this attitude towards life that led Gordan Savivic to create Constraint City. Gordan Savivic also has a very famous work called Discohedron. Discohedron is a reactive light installation by Philip Lammer, Selena Savic, and Gordan Savivic. Discohedron is a lighting installation consisting of 32 independently controlled light bulbs. Discohedron is like a homogeneous organism of light, consuming 3.2 kilowatts of electricity and leaving the audience with a blazing sensation. It consists of 30 evenly distributed diamond-shaped tiles forming a diamond-shaped trihedron. The light responds to sound in the surrounding electromagnetic environment and plays spatial animations related to its 3D software model, with a strong sense of spectacle and technology. This work by Gordan Savivic has an unclear impact on people. Discohedron is a subject of computational expression, the expression of a computer. In this work, the viewer sees technology in a novel way of presenting work. As in Constraint City, Gordan Savivic also uses many techniques of network programming, a style of Gordan Savivic's work, hardware, custom electronics, and software. Constraint City, The Pain of Everyday Life is a performative artwork that explores associates social networks by exploring the electromagnetic waves created by wireless networks or Wi-Fi signals that use encryption tools such as WEEPs or wired equivalent privacy, and WPAs, wireless protected access, which are constantly active and spread out across today's urban landscape. The work does this through the use of wearable device worn by Savivic himself in the original incarnation of work. It is fitted similar to a jacket or corset and uses Wi-Fi enabled Nintendo DS Lite console enhanced by the Ganeto Linux release in order to collect and transmit the data of the digital signals from the restricted Wi-Fi network. The wearer comes within close proximity of, but of course, the unable to access. Using the device's attached servo monitors, said data is then mapped out onto the body by tightening in proportion to the signal strength, letting the person wearing the device quite literally feel the pain of information society. The maps obtained by the system also work in tandem with GIS, or Geographical Information System, which is used in order to keep record of any former routes, create the values of a signal strength, or the subsequent degree of bondage. Through this, the so-called bondage can on one hand be perceived as quite playful in its nature, while on the other hand, it can also be understood as being quite torturous. It is also medieval with the degree in which the device is able to constrict in relation to signals clearing showing. Evidence of harm being done by leaving marks such as bruising or indentations on the wearer's body. Whatever one's perception of this interaction may be, it is evident either way that this is quite an unique way in which Savivic has made the normally invisible visible, bringing the virtual world into material world by making our urban networks tangible. However, although Savivic work is successful in highlighting the power of these wireless networks as translated into the physical form, as well as highlighting the degree of interaction we have with these wireless networks, his intention with the work goes just beyond just this. Savivic is an artist who is interested in exploring the issue associated with our contemporary existence related to the effects of new media on subjectivity and its deep social implications. So through Constraint City, the pain of everyday life, he is truly seeking to make evident that there is something deeper that we need to recognize about networks and new media as a whole in relation to society. That being our often unrestrained reliance on new media, such as wireless networks, ironically results in a more constrained existence. The critical engineer notes that written code expands into social and psychological realms, regulating behavior between people and machines they interact with. By understanding this, the critical engineer seeks to reconstruct user constraints and social action through means of digital excavation. Gordan Savivic, Julian Oliver, Danja Veslev. This notion is outlined in a manifesto in which Savivic created alongside fellow artists and critical engineers Julian Oliver and Danja Veslev. Aptly titled The Critical Engineering Manifesto, it consists of 11 points, which make clear their thoughts and goals in regards to technology and its relation to society, which are clearly evident in Constraint City. Some points include the critical engineer looks beyond the awe of implementation and determined methods of influence and their specific effects. The critical engineer recognizes that work of engineers user proportional to the user's dependency upon it.
There is no doubt that we live in a world which is currently being guided by technology and is therefore greatly dependent on new media. However, generally as a collective, it is not always apparent to people just how greatly this is true. Gordan Savivic's work, Constraint The Pain of Everyday Life, shines light on this fact in the form of wireless networks. Through analyzing our hidden dependency on wireless networks that propel our personal devices forward through life, whether that be phones, laptops, or tablets, Gordon Savivic's Constraint City, The Pain of Everyday Life, demonstrates that, particularly with the backdrop urban living, it is almost similar to cattle living as we unwittingly get branded accordingly to the place we are passing by, where the panopticon has become a wearable device and at the same time a map of the territory carved and bordered onto our bodies. Despite this, Savivic's work does not disparage the benefits and contributions of new media like wireless networks. His work is simply a method that has been used to make individuals and society more aware of the power of such technology and more conscious of reliant behavior in regards to them.